have the slides, so we can send those out to you and get you all that information so you're not worried about taking a bunch of notes and missing anything. So I will hand it over to our guest speakers and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Zainab, as Michelle mentioned, and we have Honor as well. We'll be talking about the 3 clinical trials that we have at Hospital for Special Care as part of the research team. And I'll start off with the Healy platform trial. So I'm going to start off with first sharing my screen, and let me know if everyone's able to view my screen.
I can see it.
Right, so just an introduction for us. I'm Zainab Iqbal. As Michelle mentioned, I'm the research coordinator at Hospital for Special Care. And we have Honor as well, who's the research manager. She's also the study coordinator and multiple other hats that she wears at different times as needed. And we're very excited to have everyone present today for the clinical trials that we will be talking about. I'll start off with the Healy ALS platform trial. So I just wanted to start off with kind of giving a huge shout out to Massachusetts General Hospital, who is the proud sponsor for the Healy platform trial. And with the collaboration with all the other pharmaceutical companies and different organizations that we have, we're able to not only provide regimens and different study medications to our Healy participants, but with the collaboration, we also have the chance to make sure that the data that's being collected with all of our study, it's being presented in a way that is being helpful for the ALS population. So with this slide, we have different organizations such as NEALS, Barrow, and then the pharmaceutical companies that have been a part of the Healy platform trial before, such as Biohaven. And then we also have Clean, Denali, Calico, who are currently part of our EAP studies and part of Regimen F and Regimen G. So with their collaboration, we're able to not only collect the data, but also present that forward. So I'll start off with going over traditional clinical trial and how the Healy ALS platform trial differs from one of a clinical trial. So with the Healy ALS platform trial, we're able to see that the participants that enroll in it, they're able to cut the time in half. So basically what that means is that participants have less time that they're spending in the placebo-controlled portion of the trial. They're in that portion for about 24 weeks, which gives them a higher chance to be able to get the study medication at a quicker rate. This also cuts down the cost for the pharmaceutical companies in about 1/3, which always is a good thing that the companies are looking for. So they're trying to spend that money to see where that information can be collected from. And if it's cutting their cost, they're able to provide that resources more so for the patients who need them at that time. With the Healy platform trial, one of the great things with this is that there's a 1/3 chance in the placebo-controlled portion for the participants to be receiving the placebo-controlled, and there's a 75% chance that they're receiving the actual study medication. And that's one of the things that really differs from a clinical trial, because within a clinical trial, there's always that 50-50% chance of receiving the actual study medication or the placebo. So with the Healy trial, we see that within the first 24 weeks, the participants have a greater chance of receiving the actual study medication. So that really helps the participants decide when they're deciding to participate in the trial, that within that first 24 weeks, they do have that higher chance of receiving actual study medication. Now I'll go more into detail about once they complete the placebo-controlled portion of the trial and the active treatment extension as well. So with the Healy platform trial, it's one main protocol, and it's a phase 2 and a phase 3 trial. So there's one single IRB, that's the central one. And as you can see, the Healy trial started enrolling participants in 2020, and that started off with Regimen E. In 2023, currently we are enrolling for Regimen F and Regimen G at our research department at Hospital for Special Care. We have enrollment open for both of those regimens, and we're doing great with the enrollment, getting our participants in as quickly as we can. With so far with the Healy trial, there have been 7 regimens. There are also 70 sites, or more than 70 sites at this time, that have been enrolling participants, and that's where Catherine comes in, who is our patient navigator as well. So if potential participants reach out to her that are out of state or from another site and they're unable to get in at that point, Catherine will reach out to us with their information, and then we take their information, reach out to those potential participants, and get the information and see how quickly we can enroll them at our site. And sometimes it takes time for us to do that. We're small, but we are mighty. We are the 3rd enrolling site between all of the 70 plus sites. So we work as fast as we can. I know it's not as quick as we would like it to be, but our goal is to get our participants in as quickly as possible. And there are at least 1,300, if not more, participants that have participated so far in the 7 regiments, and this will continue to go on. So there will be more regiments as well as more enrollment of participants. So I'm just going to go more into how the Healy ALS platform trial works, what the process is when a participant is interested. So the first thing we do, which is very unique to our site, is that we pre-screen our participants. We speak to them when they're in the clinic, get their information, see how they're interested, how much they're interested at that time, and kind of see if we can pre-screen them before we bring them in for a screening visit. So we'll ask them questions that will look into the key eligibility criteria, which one of them is to see when the time of onset was, which has to be less than or about 3 years for ALS. And then the other one that we look at closely is the slow vital capacity, which is a breathing score. It has to be at least 50% or above at the time of screening visits. So those are the 2 main criteria we look at the time of our pre-screening with our participants. Other things we'll look at is the 3 FDA medications that have been approved for ALS. So we'll see if they have been taking riluzole, which has to be taken for at least 30 days or more before they can be screened. And if they're taking Radicava, they have to complete 1 cycle of that before we can screen them. And then the same thing with Relyvrio as well. They have to be taking it at least for 30 days, if not more, for them to screen for the Healy trial. So once we do those pre-screening questionnaires, which our goal is to make sure that we don't bring anyone in without making sure that they will qualify for the study. So these questions, this information is received from their medical records. We'll speak to the participants on the phone, email them, get that information. Once it looks like they'll be a good fit, we bring them in for a screening visit. At that time, we do their breathing test, other assessments that are part of the screening visit, and we'll get the results back, contact them, make sure everything looks good. Dr. Whitaker looks over the information and says that they qualify to participate in the trial. After that, they'll be randomized into one of the trials. Currently, we have Regimen F and Regimen G that's enrolling. So once again, they have the possibility of being enrolled into either one of those regimens. And once they're randomized into a regimen, they have that possibility of either 75% chance of getting the study medication or a 25% of chance of receiving the study medication in the first 24 weeks of the study. After that, once the participant completes the 24 weeks of the randomized trial, they go into the active treatment extension, which at that point, they're 100% receiving the study medication. So based off of which regimen they're in, once they have completed the 24 weeks, they go into the active treatment extension and they're fully receiving the study medication. Now with the active treatment extension, the time period for that is different for each regimen, but the information that's collected over time is looked over by the medical monitors, the study team, and they will continue to look over that information to make sure that that's something that they will continue with the regimen. And if they need to make any changes to the protocol at that time, that's when we'll find out. Okay. So with the Healy platform trial, each of the regimens that have enrolled participants before, so regimen A through E, and now F and G, they all share the placebo data. So if you can see from the left part of the slide, all of the active or all of the shared placebo from all of the regimens is data that's collected, that's looked over and compared to all of the other regimens as well to make sure that there's enough data that's looked at, and it's also providing them to see what the difference could be. And once again, I do have the key eligibility criteria that we look at more closely when we're looking at screening participants on the right side of the slide. Right, so just an overview of how far the Healy platform trial has come within a very short span of time. So we started off with Regimen A in about summer 2020. You can see that it went on for quite a while. Same with Regimen B as well. And then Regimen C is one of the EAP trials that we do currently offer at our site as well. So we'll be talking about that a little later too. Regimen D is also being right now considered for a phase 3 trial. Regimen E is another EAP trial that we offer at our site too. And then F and G are currently in the process of enrollment. So we'll be seeing how that goes forward. Right, so just providing an overview of the sites that are part of the Healy platform trial. You can see that they're pretty much all over the United States. We are one of the top 3 enrolling sites for the Healy platform trial. As I mentioned, there's 3 of us on the research team, so we do our best to bring our potential participants in as quickly as we can. Our goal is to provide the care that we can provide because we're being trusted with the patient's care. So we do what we can with the most care as possible. So this, on the right side of your screen, you'll see a QR code, which is if you scan it with your phone, and you will have access to these slides as well. You can see what sites are currently enrolling patients, or some of them may be active and they're not recruiting. So this is where we really work closely with the patient navigator. We have Catherine on the call too, who will be available to answer your questions as well. So anytime, let's say there's a site that may be active, but they're not currently enrolling, and if they happen to be near us, or if there are participants that are interested, but they're not near a site that's currently enrolling, Catherine will reach out to us with their information. She'll introduce them to us, and we'll take their information, we add them to our patient interested tracker, and we do go from there to kind of make sure that we can get them in either the Healy platform trial, or if possible, for one of the other EAP that we have access to. And this slide provides you with just another QR code on the right side, which will take you to the Mass General website, and it has access to the webinar for the current regimens that are going on. So Regimen F brochures, any lumbar puncture, which is one of procedures that's part of Regimen F and Regimen G as well. We provide this information to potential participants when they come in to meet with us too, but it's always nice to provide them when they can go home and look at these in their time as well. So these will be available to you afterwards to look at, and it's very helpful to have this information when someone's trying to decide if they would like to participate in a clinical trial. When they're in the clinic, it might be too much information that's being presented to them at one time. So to have this access that they can watch webinars, they can hear from other participants who are currently participating in our research department to hear their feedback, it kind of puts them at an ease and they know what to expect as well. And they can always reach out if they have any questions to us as well. Okay, and as mentioned, we work with a great patient navigator team, which includes Catherine and Allison, and they really do work with the patients, their families, caregivers to provide as many resources as available. So on the right side of the screen, you can see that they provide resources, whether it's through emails, phone calls, Zoom calls to ALS families. They also use an online eligibility checking tool, which once again is part of the pre-screening process. So they'll go through that with the potential participants, or they'll recommend them to kind of provide that information to us so we can move along with the screening process and make sure that they will be eligible for the Healy trial. There are also weekly webinars that are provided by the patient navigator team. So they include guest speakers. They'll have Q&A sections, which patients or interested patients can ask questions about. They are every week, and there is a QR code on the next page and a link which you can sign up for if someone's interested in attending those weekly webinars. And then they also provide drug science Q&A webinars, which they have done for regimen A and F so far, which once again provides a more in-depth look for what the study medications are actually doing for each regimen. And it's very interesting because the participants or potential participants will ask questions about what actually the study medication's goal is. So they'll look into that as well. And they'll have medical monitor or a team that can answer those questions too. So this is the information for Catherine and Allison as well. You can email the Healy platform page as well to get more information. These slides will be provided to you, so you'll have the links and the QR codes at a later time. I do want to say there is a webinar in the evening today. That's the weekly webinar that's done every Thursday, which will answer any questions that potential participants have. And there is a speaker, Amanda Lee from ELSA, that will be there as well. And there's one next week too. And just an overview for the Healy trial. So, because it is a phase 2 and a 3 trial launched in 2020 with 70+ sites at this time and 7 investigational drugs. We are very grateful for the participants that we have, and we have the chance to kind of make sure that the regimens are providing and collecting the data that's possible. It's looked at for the past regimens that have stopped enrolling. The data is looked at a very frequent time. So that's when it's decided if it will stop at that time or ongoing decisions are made. Okay. And we continue to learn about biomarkers and points that are collected in the trial, which our goal is to make sure that the shared placebo from all of the trials is used going forward as well. Right. And now we'll talk about the EAPs. Great job, Senior.
Hi, I just want to start off by thanking Michelle for asking us to do this presentation. We are just so thrilled to have all the support of the ALS Association. Having a disease like ALS really takes a village, and the ALS Association is a huge part of that. Michelle has done a phenomenal job, and we are very grateful for her. I'd also like to thank Mass General Hospital. We have a great rapport with them, and we hope this is ongoing for many years to come. Because of their support, we have been able to offer many of these programs to the participants in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. So thank you so much. I would like to start by talking about the Expanded Access Program. This is something that's really dear to my heart. The reason being is when I started working with ALS 5 years ago, I noticed there was a huge group of people that really had no treatment at all. And being a critical care nurse, I always felt that a huge part for my participants or patients was that I needed to provide hope to them as a nurse. Well, there were so many people that didn't have access to that. So about 2.5 years ago, we have to thank all the ALS community because of our high enrolling site, as Zeynep said, we're very proud of. We were able to get one of the first expanded access programs here at Hospital for Special Care. We were only one of 3 sites in the whole United States, and there was only 15 people that were allowed to enroll in this program. And I really fought hard for it because, again, being a nurse, you have to have hope. This disease is really, truly devastating. And without hope, there's really nothing. So I was so proud we were able to get this program. Thank you for Mass General. And we were able to enroll 5 participants, which is so few considering the number of patients that weren't able to enroll. I am so happy to say out of 2.5 years, the program that we started with was clean, that I'll go into further detail later. But out of those 5 participants, we only had 1 patient pass away. So my heart and soul is in this. As you can see, I'm so proud of my 3 collaborants, Zanib, Natalie, and myself. Were all study coordinators as well. And really our heart is in this. We couldn't do this without you. We include everyone in our family. And thank you so much, the participants, for allowing us to advance science the way we're doing it. It's not just us. Again, it takes a village. So what is an expanded access program? Basically, what this is, it's really almost like compassionate care. It's for people that don't qualify for ongoing trials. And it could be many reasons. It could be, as Zanib said, maybe their onset is greater than 3 years. Maybe their SVC or breathing capacity is under 50%. Another thing, maybe they just had recent onset, but they're bulbar and they can't swallow pills. So for any reason, these people, we don't want to exclude them. So these are people that don't qualify for other studies. And it gives them an opportunity to get hope, be involved in a program, and also contribute to science. The major problem with these, as I'm sure people that are on this call, is that there's so few slots. We are extremely fortunate, again, because we work so diligently that we're able to get many more. We prove to the sponsors how well we can enroll, and they've been very good at giving us additional slots. But still, there's not as many slots as we would like. The other key thing is that these programs still are monitored, like Zanib said. Safety is number 1, and that's our main priority. So we want the safety of our patients as well as trying to advance science. But these, the criteria to get in are looser here, and there's not as many requirements during these programs. So some of them can be done remotely, although we encourage, again, for safety, that we do have contact with our participants. I'd like to start off, we do here at Hospital for Special Care have 2 EAP programs, which I'm thrilled about. Again, with ALS, I understand it's a devastating disease and participants feel like they don't have control. My goal is to give control to our participants or people that want to enroll. So I have 2 options. I'm hoping, always trying to look ahead. And when one door closes, I want to have something to offer my participants. So like Zanib said, with the EAP, especially the clean, we were one of the first expanded access programs to start this. And unfortunately, they closed out the Healy participants, but we were one of the first sites that we were able to pull these patients into an expanded access program. But we always want to make sure. So I think this program, the cleaned, is actually looking to the positive results that came out of Healy. What they found is that not all the markers were met, but some of them were, and that's why they're continuing with this drug. I really feel very positive about this drug, and they're actually going to do a phase 3. So we are looking our expanded access. We started off with 5 patients, and as time goes on, we're now up to, we can enroll 19 participants. So we have 15 currently. Actually, we're up to 29. So basically what clean is, it's CNM-AU8. It's a nanoparticle it's a gold. It's extremely well tolerated. They found from the Healy platform trial, there we studied two doses, a 30 milligram and a 60 milligram. They found that during the Healy platform trial there was no real significant difference between the 60 milligram and 30. So it's better to be on a lower dose. This drug is taken once a day, and it's administered at any time. But it's extremely well tolerated, and it can be administered orally or through a G-tube. So the great thing is that anybody, even with bulbar onset, can be involved in this study. Basically, how the drug works, it's acts to drive energy production while lowering the harmful effects of the oxygen radicals that generate as part of the ATP production process. So all of these studies that have been improved for drugs, Radicava, Rilivril, Riluzole, all are working actually as a combination. So we think that all these drugs, they work on different parts because we don't actually know what one thing causes ALS. So it's really looking as like a combination of drugs to help ALS. And our goal is these drugs don't cure, but they actually slow the process. And what we have found from previous research in Healy is that patients that have taken CNM AU8 have actually prolonged their time in being put on non-invasive ventilation. And they also found in the Healy platform trial that the longer you were on this drug, the better the results showed. So being part of an expanded access program, you're actually helping science because you're on this for a longer period of time, and we can actually see and what the results will be. So it's extremely beneficial. One of the things with the EAP program objectives with CLEAN is basically they want to look at the ALS FRS progression, and it involves 300 people. And again, you can see some of these expanded access programs. There are 20 sites currently now. Our current EAP expanded from 3 to 20 sites, and overall it's 300 people. But again, because of funding and the cost of these drugs, that's where my heart goes in, because I want people to be involved in studies. By paying for these drugs out of pocket, we saw how difficult it is, and it's just devastating. So we try to get as many people involved in our programs. I know everyone's anxious to hear the results, but until the results come out, all this drug is provided for free. So that's a huge benefit. Unfortunately, the difference between the expanded access programs and, say, our Healy platform trial, because there's not as much funding, we don't provide reimbursements to come to our sites, which normally we give a fee for patients to help them with parking, gas, meals. With the expanded access, that isn't provided, but we do provide drug free of cost. Basically, also with the expanded access program, they're not looking for every single adverse event. The reason being is these drugs have already been studied. So we know the safety of these drugs, and we're really, again, trying to provide this for people who can't be in a study. So we already know the safety of these drugs, extremely safe. So the only thing that is required in these expanded access is adverse events that are related to the drug itself. We still, if anyone gets hospitalized for any other reason, we still track that. So basically the eligibility criteria for the CLEAN EAP, it's pretty kind of open-ended. You definitely have to have a diagnosis of ALS. You have to be 18 years of older. You have to be able to provide written consent. And the biggest thing that we look for, we don't do breathing test options, again, but we look at your life expectancy. So the people that are eligible for this, most of them have, some of them are very stable. They just don't meet the Healy criteria, but others are extremely sick. You can be on non-invasive ventilation, but the big thing is that you have to have a life expectancy of at least 6 months. How it works is with the expanded access program, we know it's extremely difficult for many of our participants to come here. So we try to group everything together. Our past people that have been involved in these programs, we're very flexible. Some people are still working, some people are in wheelchairs. We have great access here at Hospital for Special Care. So we really try to be flexible with our timing. Our biggest restraint is that our lab closes, so we have to have all blood work done before 2:30. What we try to do too is combine our screening and baseline visits. So for entry into the expanded access, we just have to make sure that, again, safety is key. So we do blood work initially, we do it in the middle of the study, and we do it at the end of the study. We just want to make sure there's no other significant medical issues that are going on. So when we bring a patient in, especially if they're coming from far away, we have patients coming from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, we try to do the screening and baseline together, and we do stat blood work. Again, this blood work is something that is put through your insurance, where in the Healy platform trial, this is all covered in the trial. As far as breathing test, it really is optional. If we do it here, it would be charged. So we try to be very, not incur additional costs to our participants. So if you don't want to do a breathing test, that's fine. We will take it from previous. Basically, with the Clean EAP, it's a 48-week program, and the visits occur every 12 weeks, and we have a window. So what we try to do is, again, safety is our key. These can be done remotely, but we really like to combine them with our clinic visits. And what better thing to see us as your clinician? No, but as you can see, humor is really part of what I incur in this program. But safety is number one. Basically, we're hoping that at the end of the 48 weeks that Clean will say they're in the process of doing a phase 3 study, that they will expand this, and so we'll know by then. But if not, then we have another study that is an option as well. And that's our Tralos EAP. Again, I want to put a huge shout out to Mass General Hospital. I'm going to say it again, because of your participation and high enrolling at Hospital for Special Care, we were able to be involved in an NIH grant through Mass General Hospital to do this Tralos EAP. It is still currently going on. Actually, they did close out, right? Yes, the Tralos, it was Regimen E. So we're closing out that. We haven't actually got the results from that. So that's something that we are going to discuss when we go to Neil's. What's going to happen with the results of that study? Hopefully we'll be able to continue our Tralos EAP. This is actually a 24-week study. And I just want to backtrack, sorry, for the ACT Act for ALS. Basically, this was signed into legislation. And again, I want to thank all the people with ALS that have fought for all this legislation and are moving things forward for ALS. Without your support, we wouldn't be as far along with research in ALS. So kudos to everybody that's fighting so hard for this. And this is 24 sites that are in the Tralos EAP. There's 70 participants. And what this entails, there's 2 cohorts. there's people that were in regimen E for cohort 2 from the Healy platform trial. And these people are automatically included in the Trehalose. We do have a participant on this call. I don't want to say any names, but who has been on the Trehalose EAP and is enrolled in our EAP program. And he just feels wonderful. Basically what Trehalose is, it's a glucose sugar. So the only people that wouldn't qualify would be people with diabetes. So this is why I like to have 2 options. If somebody who doesn't qualify for a normal study comes to me and says, I want to be part of research, I want to contribute, I want hope, we have options for them. And those participants would be really sheltered to our clean EAP. But the Trehalose is very nice because this can also be done at home. Both of these studies that we offer, we've had many patients enroll in them, and we've had almost none withdraw. They're both extremely well tolerated. The biggest thing with the Trehalose is that it's through an IV. Because of the sugar, if you're taken orally, it actually, our gut decreases the efficacy of the drug, so it needs to be administered through IV. Cohort 1 are people that come to us that have never been, they call it naive, never had experience to Trehalose. So those people would actually receive the infusion here for the first 4 weeks. And at the time of the infusion, it's either an hour or an hour and a half, and it's weight-based. But the good thing is many of our participants, as they're more advanced, they have difficulty taking in fluids. So this is one way we keep patients hydrated. And some of what I've experienced through my participants is the sugar, they get a high feeling. And unfortunately, I followed patients that have been taken off, were on regimen E, and still qualified for Healy, and they actually declined not being on the Trehalose. So this is another drug that's dear to my heart. I'm hoping that we get positive results for this. The great thing is that people that are on this drug, they don't have to come to the clinic every week. Sometimes that's a hard thing. So we are collaborating with a team called PCM. They're nurses that actually go to your home, and every week it's the same nurse, and they deliver the IV infusion to them, and we provide the drug. If you need any additional information, again, we have these for you that you'll be provided for you. And I just want to take a huge shout out. I couldn't be more proud of all the people with ALS. It's really taught me a huge lesson. I never take a day for granted. And that's why what I try to show my ALS patients. I'm going to get very emotional now because these patients are so strong. They have so much courage, and they have taught me so much. And for everything that they're struggling with, it's a horrific disease that just hits you in the time of your life. And again, we have to provide hope, and we give our heart and souls to you. And I really want to reach out to our previous participants. We're always trying to make our research here at Hospital for Special Care better. And they do have an advocacy program, which I know once there's a loss of a spouse or somebody else, that they want to give back. So there is that. And Catherine, we have information for that too. You can be an advocacy because your word really matters. Taking care of a loved one, even caregivers, you guys, it takes a village to do this. And we just want to thank you so much because we wouldn't be able to advance science if it wasn't for you. And I also, excuse me, would like to have advocacies for us. It's scary to get into research. You don't know what's being involved. We try to make it as fun here. We try to use humor. We try to lighten But again, every day is such a blessing. And if we could have some people that have been involved in research, be during your talks, Michelle, kind of encourage them. We are a great group here. We really love our participants and they become like family to us. And any suggestions that you have on how we can improve